Welcome to the Backrooms Level 10.1. Survival Difficulty Class 5E. Unsafe. Unsecured. Non-entity hazards. Level 10.1 consists entirely of a man-made lake, named Corpse Lake, located in Level 10. It is located approximately 20 miles, or 40 kilometers, from the nearest inhabited settlement, Malt Town. Despite being an easily accessible location, and theoretically still a constituent of the Level 10 plane, this area was given the appellation of sublevel in hopes of highlighting the erratic and highly perilous properties of this particular region. The lake is radioactive, toxic, and carnivorous. It was created out of extensive failed attempts at neutralizing instances of Object 24 through extreme heat. Attempting to destroy an instance of Object 24 through melting it only creates a highly dangerous, semi-sentient chemical solution that seeks out the nearest living animal, including humans, and proceeds to consume it through liquidation. Due to the extremely perilous nature of this mixture, the MEG have declared Level 10.1 to be the designated location to dump said liquid in hopes of nullifying its detrimental effects. The radiation level within 1 square mile of the lake's surface is about 700 roentgens per hour, or approximately 7 SV/HR. For comparison, the radiation level of the reactor hall of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant is 34 SV/HR and can kill a human being in less than 10 to 20 minutes. Standing adjacent to Corpse Lake for more than an hour is fatal. Because of the M.E.G's lack of supply of radioactive protective gear, nobody, including MEG personnel, is allowed to travel within 10 square miles, or approximately 26 square kilometers, without express permission from the overseers. Because of the extreme toxicity of this environment, those who enter the 10-mile radius, now designated as the Corpse Lake Exclusion Zone, will receive no further help or contact from any MEG personnel and will henceforth be considered deceased. From the moment one enters the Corpse Lake Exclusion Zone, one's skin and clothes will be too contaminated for the MEG to be able to offer assistance of any kind. Over the course of 9 months, studies have shown that the radiation level of Corpse Lake has been gradually increasing since the initial creation incident, which displayed a large influx of the substance and thus contributed to such a high number. It is unknown what the cause of it is, and if or when this increase in radiation will affect nearby settlements such as Malt Town. Biotic and abiotic properties. It is unknown what exactly makes Corpse Lake so radioactive. It is assumed to be one of the repercussions of trying to eliminate Object 24 instances. While inanimate, these masks conscientiously resist being destroyed, and thus it can be assumed that both the constant radiation emitted and the fluid's aggressive, hostile nature can be accredited to a sort of defensive mechanism. Debate is still ongoing as to whether or not Object 24, and by extension the fluid remains of it, can be truly considered alive. From previous reports, the lake appears to retain some sort of sentience and memory, behaving especially threatening towards personnel that were directly involved in the mask's destruction. Quite a number of casualties have occurred since this solution's accidental creation, and the grim reminders of them still lie within it to this day. At first, the mixture was pitch black in color, but has since turned a murky crimson after the blood of several fallen operatives was absorbed through exsanguination. At the time of writing, a year has passed without any similar incidents occurring. The blood has yet to dissolve, and no victims have been reported since August 12, 2021. This leads to the conclusion that either the solution is not alive, or it can sustain itself without ingesting other living beings or digesting the blood that still sits on its surface. It is unknown what exactly causes the radiation that the solution emits. It is considered too dangerous, and the MEG is too ill-equipped in terms of protective gear to safely analyze the substance. As such, the elemental composition of the liquid is entirely unknown. When the liquid was created, several small portions of it were contained in petri dishes and analyzed before the MEG operatives died of radiation positioning. The information gathered by these valiant people comprises the majority of what we know now about the mystery liquid that makes up sublevel 10.1, however little that is. Included is a picture of a petri dish containing the liquid taken using ultraviolet imaging. The liquid appears to contain a network of strange pathways that only emit ultraviolet light and no other wavelength. Invisible to the naked eye, it seems as if the liquid created by the masks contains several veins of some manner. The MEG hypothesizes that these veins are what carry nutrients gained by the liquid to the center. It has been noted that in the exact center of whatever shape the liquid takes, there is a large black area that cannot be penetrated with any form of light. This makes the area darker than the darkest visible shade known to man, Vanta black. It is unknown what the exact purpose of this black spot is, but its apparent function can be likened to that of a heart. Deconstruction of victims. Radiation poisoning. Upon coming in contact with radiation from the substance of level 10.1, wanderers will develop radiation poisoning. This is constant no matter how much radiation wanderers are exposed to, whether it be a lethal dosage or what would normally be non-harmful. This makes exposure to the substance incredibly dangerous, as coming in contact with even the smallest amount of radiation, even though a protective suit, spells guaranteed death within the next hour. Radiation levels have been measured to be deadly as little as 1 centimeter inside the exclusion zone, and yet the area outside of it remains completely radiation-free, except for one notable exception, described in an attached report. Wanderers who become afflicted with radiation sickness from level 10.1 develop all the major symptoms of it within 30 minutes. Observation has proven that all wanderers will go through 3 distinct stages within an hour of contamination before eventually passing away. Stage 1: within 10 minutes of contamination, wanderers begin to experience strong nausea and dizziness, with occasional vomiting. Headaches have been reported, and mild fevers begin to develop. Sporadic boils begin to appear on wanderers' skin. Many claim that they have felt fatigued, and there have been several cases of stomachaches and cramps. Stage 2: within 30 minutes of contamination, wanderers experience a large and grotesque outbreak of boils covering their entire body. Many of them expand and burst, exposing blood to the open environment. Vomiting becomes extreme and violent, with occasional blood leakage. Stomachaches become nearly unbearable, causing wanderers to keel over in pain. Disorientation inundates many wanderers at this stage, causing them to lose consciousness. Studies have shown that many wanderers at this stage start to bleed internally, and their stomach acid begins to destroy the protective coating in the stomach and eat through their body from the inside by unknown means. Stage 3: within 60 minutes of contamination. This stage is the most gruesome and dangerous stage of the substance-induced radiation poisoning. Before a total of 60 minutes has elapsed since coming in contact with the radiation, all the blood within wanderer's body will converge and congeal in the center of their body. This motion will tear through a majority of the wanderer's vital organs and cause them to die through hemorrhaging. Once the wanderer is deceased, the substance will then burst forth from the victim's stomach and take on all the properties of the substance in the corpse lake. It will be just as radioactive, just as hostile, and just as dangerous. This has the potential for a domino effect of infection after infection if proper isolation and quarantining methods are not taken. Because the bodies of dead victims produce new amounts of this substance, those who develop radiation poisoning are to be considered dead and to be isolated from any other potential victims, regardless of whether or not they are wearing protective suits. Physical contact and blood draining. The other primary way in which the substance, and by extension, level 10.1, kills its prey is through direct physical contact with animal cells of any kind. Upon coming into contact with any part of a human's body, most likely the skin, the substance will begin to latch on and instantaneously solidify into a semi-solid of the same consistency and stickiness of a spider's web or coagulated glue. The substance will then begin to drain the victim's blood through the ultraviolet veins present in all parts of its amorphous figure. Nothing but the blood will be removed from the victim's body, and when every trace of it down to the atomic level is absorbed, the substance will automatically reverse its coagulation, return to a more liquid form, and retract from the cadaver, leaving naught but the wrinkled remains. For an unknown reason, this process will never happen to plant cells of any kind. As such, grass and other plants can freely grow on the banks of the lake. Algae species and other adjacent life forms, such as Trichodesmium, have been observed to flourish in the lake. Experiments have been conducted in the past to sample specimens that survive in this otherwise perilous environment, and are logged below the list of casualties. Archived official MEG notice, distributed to the citizens of Malt Town, April 4, 2021. Notice April 4, 2021. Regarding Level 10.1. The location for 10.1 was chosen due to the original depression containing an entrance to an undocumented level. The reason this level remains undocumented is because there are no known entrances, and all who have previously entered have never been heard from afterwards. It was thought that the substance could be disposed of by hopefully pouring it into the depression to be transported to this level, but this has not been the case. Instead, it appears that Corpse Lake has been able to absorb a liquid coming from the level, presumably water, to increase its volume dramatically. Corpse Lake continues to grow in volume to this day, albeit at a very slow rate. Regardless, citizens of Malt Town are to be kept on high alert at all times and to prepare for possible evacuations at a moment's notice. Compiled by Jeff A. Guzman, Chief MEG Record Keeper, Base Alpha. List of casualties from Level 10.1 and its associated substance. Date, name, position, cause of death. December 15, 2020. Holly S. Serviu Volunteer Specialist, Radiation poisoning from initial experiment. December 15, 2020. James A. Lucas, Volunteer Specialist, Radiation poisoning from initial experiment. December 15, 2020. Jake Jonas, Volunteer Specialist, blood drained by substance. December 15, 2020. Samantha Bluewood, Volunteer Specialist, Radiation poisoning from initial experiment. December 15, 2020. Toga Hajime, Volunteer intern, blood drained by substance. December 15, 2023. Unidentified volunteers, volunteer operative, blood drained by substance. February 14, 2021. Pseudo Wu MEG, volunteer photographer, radiation poisoning after taking a picture of level 10.1 and being exposed to radiation. March 2, 2021. Johannes Bloomberg, wanderer, radiation poisoning after unknowingly entering the exclusion zone. 3/XX/2021. 5 unidentified civilians, wanderer, presumed radiation poisoning. April 12, 2021. Unidentified wanderer, masked maiden member, Bada, unknown, possibly killed by the substance. 1. May 10, 2021. 2 unidentified civilians, wanderer, radiation poisoning. May 11, 2021. Ama Ulkamizi, wanderer, radiation poisoning, spread by unusual wines. May 11, 2021. Lindsay Abel, wanderer, radiation poisoning, spread by unusual wines. May 11, 2021. Johnson Baki, wanderer, radiation poisoning, spread by unusual wines. May 11, 2021. Luis Garcia, wanderer, radiation poisoning, spread by unusual wines. July 27, 2021. Subi Atissa, MEG operative and volunteer specialist, radiation poisoning after gathering trichodesmium. July 28, 2021. Lucas S. Grant, MEG operative and volunteer specialist, radiation poisoning after substance outbreak. July 28, 2021. Susie Larry, MEG operative and volunteer specialist, radiation poisoning after substance outbreak. August 10, 2021. Sebastian Alfonso, MEG operative and volunteer specialist, radiation poisoning from equipment malfunction. August 12, 2021. Amelie Heru, wanderer, radiation poisoning after unknowingly entering the exclusion zone. The MEG has found it necessary to document all casualties related to level 10.1, as studying the cause of death and recognizing patterns is of utmost importance. Furthermore, the tragic nature of this location asks for us to commemorate those who valiantly gave their lives in the hope that their discoveries may aid those in the future, as well as the misfortune of those unlucky enough to stumble into the exclusion zone without any prior knowledge of it. The MEG hopes that by publishing this information, the number of accidental deaths due to radiation poisoning begins to decline henceforth. Exclusion Zone Boundary. This is a notice to all wanderers and MEG operatives alike. As of August 10, 2021, nobody is to cross the barbed wire fencing without express permission from the overseers and proper protective gear. Barbed wire fencing, as well as warning signs, have been installed around the perimeter. Crossing the boundary without proper and functioning high-caliber radioactive protective gear will result in certain death. The 24 incident. The 24 incident occurred on December 15, 2020 in Base Beta in Level 11. While no eyewitness reports are available due to everyone directly involved in the creation of the substance perishing during the events of the incident, a reconstructed approximate timeline of events has been transcribed in their stead. In addition, 2 pictures were provided, one taken before the events of the incident, and one depicting the aftermath. Timeline begins 10:20. Operative Samantha Bluewood and an unidentified male volunteer begin readying the machine 10:20. Operative Holly S. Servue arrives with the specialized container of masks 10:30. Heat press internal temperature reaches 2500 K, or approximately 2200 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt technetium 1045. Servue fits about 5 to 6 masks inside the machine 1050. Heat press internal temperature reaches approximately 3000 K 1130. Operative James A. Lucas logs that the masks have begun to melt. This is the only piece of eyewitness information recovered 12:16. Substance is officially created out of the first batch of masks 1302. Substance created from each individual mask congeals into one solution 1305. Heat press is deactivated and begins cooling 1305. Heat press reaches stable temperature and substance is brought out of the machine 1315. All operatives, who are not wearing protective gear, are exposed to radiation emitted from the substance 1320. Substance violently attacks operatives Toga Hajime and Jake Jonas, coming contact with them and leaching their blood, killing them almost instantaneously 1320. Substance absorbs the blood into itself and grows to an approximate size of 1 cubic meter, 35 cubic feet. 3 other unidentified MEG operatives come in contact with the substance and are leached 1325. Radiation levels within the facility rise dramatically. All other personnel in the facility are promptly evacuated and suffer no lasting injuries 1330. Samantha Bluewood, James A. Lucas, and Holly S. Servue are thoroughly irradiated and are unable to escape the facility in time. They die due to rapid radiation poisoning, dying in less than 10 minutes 1333. Airborne particles of the substance enter the corpses of the deceased operators and mix with their blood, adding to the overall volume of the substance present 1335. The substance lies in a puddle in the center of the facility and becomes dormant, yet still radioactive 1340. A specialized team with protective gear is called in after radiation levels are observed. 1740. Substance is contained within nuclear waste barrels and safely transported to level 10 for dumping. 1945. Substance is dumped into what is now level 10.12120. At the time of dumping, the total volume of the substance was approximately 2 cubic meters, 70 cubic feet. However, while the radiation levels went down, the total volume of the substance dramatically increased to 0.8 cubic miles, 3.33 cubic kilometers. This increase is theorized to be the result of several endemic entities, such as gluffs, or undocumented wanderers coming in contact with what is now called Corpse Lake. However, it is possible the increase is due to an influx of water from the original unknown level whose entrance level 10.1 now covers. Report end. Archived notice from Overseer C, published May 10, 2021. Attention, unusually high winds have been detected around the Malttown area, in addition to high levels of radiation. This radiation is suspected to come from level 10.1, which lies approximately 20 miles, 40 kilometers, from Malttown. This radiation is especially dangerous because it will inflict lethal radiation poisoning on any human or animal that is exposed to even a single particle of it. All inhabitants of Malt Town are to evacuate immediately and head to the BNTG Level 10 resource station. It is unknown exactly how long this radiation will last, so be prepared to it to last indefinitely. Grab all precious belongings and do not waste a second, for it could be the difference between life and death. Stay safe, everyone. Incident Casualty Records, published May 12, 2021. Compiled by Samaya L. Gruel, Assistant MEG Record Keeper, Base Beta. Deceased. Date, name, position, cause of death. May 10, 2021. 2 unidentified civilians, Wanderer radiation poisoning. May 11, 2021. Ama Ulkamizi Wanderer radiation poisoning, spread by unusual wines. May 11, 2021. Lindsay Abel Wanderer radiation poisoning, spread by unusual wines. May 11, 2021. Johnson Baki Wanderer radiation poisoning, spread by unusual wines. May 11, 2021. Luis Garcia Wanderer radiation poisoning, spread by unusual wines. Missing. Name, position. Oriana Lumen Wanderer. Lucius Poliver Wanderer. Archived notice from Overseer C, published May 20, 2021. Attention, after a detailed survey of the environment, radiation levels in Malt Town are still unsafe for habitation. Civilians who are debating whether or not they should return are strongly urged to stay in the BNTG Level 10 resource station. The radiation level is slowly declining, but Malt Town must be cleared of all residual substance particles before it is hospitable to habilitation. For now, stay put and stay safe, everyone. Study of recovered aquatic plant specimen from Level 10.1. Abstract. In order to determine the effect of the substance of Level 10.1 on nearby plant life, a total of 48 distinct samples were collected from Level 10.1 of several aquatic plants, including xanthophytes, yellow-green algae, trichodesmium, and chlorophyta, green algae. In addition to coloration and composition comparisons to control groups of these specimens, collected at the Fuchsia Embassy in Level 121, radioactivity levels were also carefully monitored over the course of the experiment. Data from several trials show that microscopic particles of the Level 10.1 substance are present within each collected specimen from Corpse Lake, and behave with just as much intensity as a macroscopic amount of it. It appears that radiation level, along with volume, increases dramatically in proportion to the amount of water present in the nearby environment. This is consistent throughout all species of recovered aquatic life. Despite exhibiting radiation levels up to 456 Röntgen/H, which is enough to cause detrimental effects, including mortality, on plant life, there was not a single instance recorded of that being the case. The results of this study suggest that only animal cells, and not plant cells, are susceptible to the harmful effects of the Level 10.1 substance. Case Study 1, Xanthophyte, Yellow-Green Algae. Both the irradiated xanthophyte sample and the imported control sample were placed in 100 mm Petri dishes containing 15 ml of water. Both Petri dish samples were held under two 40-watt fluorescent tubes for a total of 3 consecutive days and were closely monitored. Radiation levels and volume of substance were documented and graphed below. As with all other trials, the control group's Petri dish was contaminated as a result of unexpectedly intense radiation emitted from the irradiated algae after substance expansion. Both samples capped at 563.5 Röntgen/H, which should have proven lethal to both algae specimens. However, both algae continued to grow after this point unbridled by this complication. Case Study 2, Trichodesmium. After the results of the first set of trials, the Petri dishes were replaced with radiation-resistant Petri dishes in order to prevent contamination of the control group. In addition, data was only collected during a 24-hour period in which the data was recorded remotely instead of by hand, due to the high amount of radioactive fallout present at the site. The radiation protection of the Petri dishes proved unsuccessful, as both the substance volume and radiation level increased much faster than in the previous experiment. Information and data collection were limited by the unsafe conditions inside the testing site, and thus accuracy and precision of data were lessened. Case Study 3, Chlorophyta. No experiments were conducted on Chlorophyta. The Chlorophyta specimen take from Corpse Lake was instead returned due to unsafe conditions that heavily endangered us. The protective equipment isn't enough. It somehow got in our suits, and we're already feeling the symptoms of the radiation poison Bing. We're dropping the formalities here. We can't escape, because we'll just contaminate others. I thought I was prepared to die going into this, but we're all realizing we're not. This is going to be our last message to the world. Instead of trying to run and making the situation worse, we're choosing to accept our fatties and put every last bit of information we can specifically gather in our dying moments here so that people in the future can make use of it. That's what this is for really. Especially the poor citizens of Malt Town. We're not going to be like those two wanderers who contaminated people in that village before they died 2 months ago. Subby I seal Tirati dead. With our dying breath, we found something. Look. Both Entity 19, the disease, and the level 10.1 substance exhibit a similar level of danger and to some extent, behavior. Experiments and comparisons were conducted between the two in order to elucidate any possible relations they might have, as well as to discover potentially new information about the origin, structure, and function of the level 10.1 substance. Structure. Microscopic study reveals that the structures of Entity 19 and the level 10.1 substance are similar but functionally different. The substance of level 10.1 is not comprised of multiple individual virions too like Entity 19, but is instead a chemical mixture of several radioactive molecules with suspended ultraviolet veins in its semi-gelatinous volume. It has been determined that these veins vary in structure. Some are made of a single layer of endothelial cells and can be likened to human capillaries, while others are made of connective tissue and can be likened to human superficial veins. Therefore, Entity 19 and the substance of level 10.1 are fundamentally unique and are not related. The substance of level 10.1 is also not a virus, despite the effect it has on cells. Both Entity 19 and the substance were contained in sterile containers and introduced to 1μl3 of human blood. Entity 19 virions penetrated the individual red blood cells and started to self-replicate using the standard viral replication method of a single-stranded RNA virus. 4 in comparison, instead of infecting the red blood cells. The substance of level 10.1 used its veins to absorb and carry red blood cells throughout its venous system. A majority of the red blood cells, and in addition, its nutrients, were ferried through the substance into the black area at its center. The presence of blood in the veins is what gives the substance its signature crimson coloration. Both Entity 19 and the substance expanded rather quickly, but the substance expanded at a much greater rate than Entity 19. In a matter of hours, the substance had converted the 1μl of blood into approximately 5 extra milliliters of volume, bring its total volume to 6 milliliters. For comparison, Entity 19 experienced an increase of only 1 ml of volume. In conclusion, Entity 19 and the substance of level 10.1 are too different to be related. Debate is still ongoing as to whether or not this makes Entity 19 alive. It exhibits growth, metabolism, stimulus response, autonomous motion, and homeostasis, but no signs of reproduction of any kind have been observed. Observations of an irradiated wanderer. Amelie.png. Amelie Heroux. On August 12, 2021, a wanderer by the name of Amelie Heroux was found at the boundary of the exclusion zone during a routine checkup by MEG operatives. A makeshift experiment was then staged, as she displayed acute signs of the radiation sickness. She was immediately taken into isolation in a semi-conscious state. After being told that she would perish in less than an hour, she consented to have her final moments observed and recorded for the sake of future civilians' safety. However, she personally requested that her submitted picture be censored. Recording transcript. Operative Penny A. Hayes, begin recording. Operative Felix Phrase, recording. Amelie Heroux, so, how much time do I have left? At this point, it has been 15 minutes since Heroux was exposed to radiation, and she is at the first stage of radiation poisoning. Operative Felix Phrase, at most, 45 minutes, I'm afraid. Amelie Heroux, why? Coughs. That is not nearly as much time as I would have hoped. There simply isn't enough time to think of what to say. And an old lady like me should have been prepared. Silence passes. Amelie Heroux, are you just going to sit there, taking your notes in those suits? It feels so inhuman. Operative Penny A. Hayes, we cannot touch you for safety reasons, MRS. Heroux. I'm deeply sorry. Amelie Heroux, oh, I know that very well. I'm not asking you to hold my hand. But you know as well as I do what's going to happen to me. It's not going to be pretty. I feel it churning about in my stomach. I can't imagine what it'll look like when it crawls out. It's a horrible way to die. Not because my stomach is going to explode and tear all my organs out, but because I'll be dying while people watch and take notes in bright yellow suits. When that happens, tell me, will you feel anything? Any emotion at all? Operative Felix Phrase, it's not that I don't feel anything, it's that I can't. Phrase sets his clipboard down and stops taking notes. Operative Felix Phrase, I have to stay strong. I have to keep pushing forward, no matter how much it hurts to watch you go. I never imagined I'd ever be doing this, you know. I was an artist back on Earth. All I wanted to do was feel. But now, I can't feel anything at all. You have to understand. This is for all the other people out there who might be exposed to this very danger. This is. I'm sorry. Amelie Heroux, it's quite all right. Say, why don't you tell me more about what life was like back on Earth? Operative Felix Phrase, me? But you only have a few minutes left. Why are you so concerned about me? If you don't tell your story now, who will be around to tell it? Amelie Heroux, I want to hear one last tale before I go. Operative Felix Phrase, well, after I came to the Backrooms, I joined the MEG because I thought it would be a fun little adventure, just a little community of explorers. They found me in level 1 and saved me. I never dreamed I'd be doing something like this. I just wanted to live. This isn't life, watching people die from something I can do nothing about. Operative Penny A. Hayes, we shouldn't have experimented on the masks. In a way, I guess this our fault. We've done nothing but put innocent people in harm's way trying to erase our mistakes. We did that with the mask experiments, and created the masked maidens. Now we did it with level 10.1 and hurt the citizens of Malt Town, and you. I'm so sorry. Amelie Heroux, I'm not. Heroux does not finish her sentence. She slumps back in her chair as her skin begins to bubble rapidly. Multiple boils erupt violently on the surface of her skin. Her eyes begin to glaze over in pain. Operative Penny A. Hayes, holy shit. Amelie Heroux, do you too have family? Friends? Lovers you left behind? Heroux's voice is visibly strained, and grows weaker rapidly. Operative Penny A. Hayes, of course. Amelie Heroux, why don't we sing one last song together? My Bonnie lies over the ocean, do you know that one? Operative Felix Phrase, yes. Amelie Heroux, good. I'll begin. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. My Bonnie lies over the sea. Operative Felix Phrase. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. Operative Penny A. Hayes. So bring back my Bonnie to me. All. Bring back, bring back. Oh, bring back my Bonnie to me, to me. Bring back, bring back. Oh, bring back my Bonnie to me. Amelie Heru. Last night as I lay on my pillow. Last night as I lay on my bed. Last night as I lay on my pillow. I dreamt that my Bonnie was dead. Operative Felix phrase. Bring back, bring back. Operative Penny A. Hayes. Oh, bring back my Bonnie to me, to me. Amelie Heru. Bring back, bring back. Oh, bring back my Bonnie too. Heru shudders, as an audible tearing sound can be heard from inside her abdomen. She slumps over further in her chair as blood begins to leak from her mouth. A large bulge grows underneath her stomach, stretching her skin, until the substance violently bursts forth, killing Heru instantly. Both Operative Hayes and Operative Phrase have since resigned from the MEG and have refused to provide any further information. Report end. That's all for this level. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.